Easy peasy rice.
Easy peasy lemon squeeze.
Rice and cheesy. If it's easy peasy, it's rice. It can be lemon squeezy, but it's not summertime.
I've told you about the lemon stories, right, with Ziggy? I told you about this, didn't I?
What?
So he normally likes a download, or no, he doesn't like a download. He used to be like, tell me something. And so Scott and I would just give like random factoids of things.
Tell me something.
Tell me something before bed. That was like his way of like, staying awake. And then my like writer brain, like Scott's really good at pulling like random ass anecdotes from his life and be like, one day, daddy, I'm like, I can't do this right now. I'm so tired. So I finally one day was just like, I'm going to tell you a story instead. So I started telling him these like little micro stories that always had like a little lesson packed in there. Like, and that's why we share, ha 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 ha, whatever. And then one day it turned into, I want a lemon story. And we were like, what? Well, I want a lemon story. And so he likes a story about a lemon named Kevin. And then he came up with Bertha. He said,
Bertha.
We said, you tell us one night. And he goes, a lemon named Bertha. And we were like, where did you? I don't know where he's learning any of this, dude. Bertha. We were like crying. And then he'll just like riff all these random words that are like cycling through his head. But anyway, so for about a month or two, we've been doing lemon stories, 2 to 6 a night, where we just randomly, and then you have to end the story with, and then lemon juice squirted out and it was so sour. And then he just busts up laughing. But now I'm like recycling lemon stories because there's just only so many things that Kevin and Bertha can do.
I'm obsessed.
But yeah,
the whole universe of what Kevin and Bertha can do.
It's true, but it's like it's so hard at the night. It's literally like 8:15, and I'm like, I'm so tired. But we did realize something kind of cool last night. We both tripped. Scott was reading him a book, and then he like stopped short, and Ziggy said the rest of what was in the book. So he's like memorizing.
He's a genius.
It's literally, we were tripping out. He did it with like 5 different books. Scott would read the first part of the sentence and then he'd finish it. And we were like, okay.
He's a genius.
He's smarter than me already and I've accepted it.
Period.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to Script Daddy.
Welcome to Script Daddy.
Script Daddy. Here at Script Daddy, we read scripts, watch the movies, and discuss the differences between script and screen. I'm your host, Colin.
And I'm your host, Carly.
And here we are again for another exciting episode in season 4. Our rom-com season.
This is a very exciting episode.
This is.
Colin and I were rattling the cages that we put ourselves in while reading and watching.
I was a big fat jumbo rat in a really tiny cage.
But we were really good at not saying anything.
We were good this time.
Listen, sometimes Colin and I squeak something out. We'll squeak a little text.
We weren't great about Star is Born.
We weren't great about Star is Born. We just had so much to say.
The cup overflowed.
The cup overflowed. This time, though, like, it was a lot.
Let the babies know.
Let the babies know. We are doing the iconic When Harry Met Sally.
Truly iconic. Also, this isn't a sidebar, but dedicating this episode clearly
oh my God.
to
the Rob Reiner.
In the memory of Rob Reiner.
Oh my God.
And his wife, Michelle.
There was definitely a bittersweetness of watching it this time.
Yeah.
And also just being like in awe of what this, the fact that this movie is timeless because it is.
It actually is.
Arguably one of the most timeless movies I think I've ever seen.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Like there's really nothing that you're like it's so timeless and so many of the choices, and we're going to get into the trivia because we both were digging into it. But this was such a gorgeous example of collaboration. Like what he brought to Nora, what Nora brought, but then ultimately like what they synthesized and the gorgeousness of like them being able to do that.
And then providing an atmosphere for true collaboration because you see what Meg Ryan brought to the story. Like, that trivia is insane.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? And then, like, Billy Crystal, what he brought to and stuff. Like, just himself. Like, it's incredible.
Beyond. We have to do more of his films because they're all good.
Obviously, more Nora Ephron. We were going to do Sleepless in Seattle, but we decided to do this one instead.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. But I am now foaming at the mouth for more Nora Ephron scripts.
Yes.
Foaming
at the actual
mouth.
100%.
What an incredible talent she was. It's actually insane.
It's actually insane.
You know, both of her parents were screenwriters.
I love that. Now I want to read her
She was
parents.
a journalist for a while, but then like later in life, she became a screenwriter.
But it makes sense, the journalist to screenwriter pipeline, because her observations on humans and the way that they communicate and like the complexities of relationships that are so gorgeously displayed in this, that makes perfect sense. Only someone who's truly observing people could hack it.
Yeah, and to do that all through fucking incredibly sharp comedy. I'm gooped and gagged by the script,
Gooped
babe.
and gagged.
Let's get into that
All
trivia.
right, so I have to say, though.
Oh, what? Logline Isha's not there.
Okay, so Amazon didn't do it this time.
Jeffrey, you dropped the ball.
And neither did I Am
Deborah?
Deborah, but I'm giving both this time because they're both short and stupid.
Jeff and Debbie, what the fuck?
Now, granted, there's a part of me that went, is it because the movie's so good that, but no. But I also think too, I've texted you about this before. The movies like this, but a little bit more more drama leaning for me, are more of like the things I typically write. And I do sometimes feel that there's a little bit more effort for me that has to go into coming up with a log line, because I feel like when you have movies of different genres where it's like the beep bop boop of it all, and it's very obvious the things you need to hit. The examples I'm going to give you right now are my point of why it is kind of hard to sum up a movie, the genius of a movie like this, and make it interesting in one sentence.
Fair.
I'm not literally saying it's harder. I'm just saying for me, sometimes I get caught up on like, what I know the story is good, but I don't know how to hook someone in one sentence about a relationship movie.
The movie's just, it's basically about, can a man and a woman actually be friends, which straight man and straight woman actually be friends.
Actually want to ask you what you think of that.
Okay.
Okay. So the logline from Amazon Bezos is, Bezos had her nails on I think she had her nails on when she did this, and maybe that's why it's so
Bezos
short.
Had her French tips,
yes.
baby.
Two strangers share a car trip from Chicago to New York, discovering it is impossible for men and women to be just friends.
That's
the logline.
Wrong.
Also, that's
wrong. That makes me think the whole film takes place in a car. No. What?
It's horrific.
What?
Now I Am Deborah's IMDb for new listeners.
Sorry, that was awful.
Oh,
that is a setup for a completely different film.
I was shook, angry, and mortified.
This takes place over 10 years. What are we talking about? Actually more than 10 years, 11 years.
When I have to go back to IMDb to see what dredges I can pull, it's not a good sitch.
Oh, back to the belly of Deborah.
Okay, Deborah, here we go. Harry and Sally have known each other for years and are very good friends, but they fear sex would ruin the friendship. These are two of the worst log lines.
Better than Amazon, though.
Better, but
gives us also nothing.
I needed over the span. I needed over the span in there somewhere, because part of the appeal of this movie is that we are following these two people over a very large span of time.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes it so compelling.
Also, just like none of those, it's whatever. Those are terrible.
It hurts my head and my heart.
I'm actually baffled how anyone,
baffied.
It's like both of them are like, well, yes, but also absolutely no.
I'm baffied. I'm BAFTA'd.
BAFTA. Truly, BAFTA. 2026 BAFTA Awards. Give us the stats.
The director,
cribs.
Rob Reiner. His other, if you don't know, rest in absolute Power King. What a man, truly. If you don't know what he's most known for, then maybe perhaps pause this and go look yourself. But I'll give you a little quick. He's most known for Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, Misery. By the way, that one we have to do Misery.
Misery was the one he did after this film. He went from Stand By Me, I think, to Princess Bride, to Misery.
Yeah,
Misery.
I think you're right.
Like, my God.
A Few Good Men also, hello. Rumor has it, did not know that. And I was like, get it, King. And The Bucket List. Those were some of his main ones. Writer, Nora Ephron. Hello.
Even though the script we have, there's 3 credited writers on the script, but clearly she wrote it.
Yeah. I didn't even know if that was
the third guy is a producer. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So it stars Meg Ryan, the queen. There's not enough minutes.
I have so many notes about it when we get into the movie. I always loved Meg Ryan, but I've never actually fully appreciated what she brings to the table as an actor. It's
role. She took a fucking gorgeous character and made it even more fucking perfect.
By the way, her second movie.
Yeah, this was her first lead role.
Are you like...
Now, granted...
Did you see who was up for the role before her?
Yes. Say.
A different film, Molly Ringwald.
Which...
Who then ended up going and doing the West End play version.
Oh.
Yeah. It was originated by Alison Hannigan on the West End, and then Molly Ringwald played Sally in the West End
Did you see that Tom Hanks was up for this?
I did. I actually would... Billy Crystal, it's his role, but I was like, wait, I actually would love to see... Because, I mean, that Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks is an iconic duo.
True, but Billy, if you think about what makes...
Billy is Harry, and him being best friends with Rob makes it there's a symbiosis there.
And Billy has an edge to him
I think
Tom Hanks doesn't like he does have, but like it's like innate. It's like that comedian in Billy Crystal.
Billy's like your fun, edgy uncle, and Tom Hanks is
a little softer.
It like your grandfather.
I think the comedy would have
dad.
It just would have tonally been different, I think.
Agreed.
But still good. But no one but Meg could have played, period. And then obviously, so Meg Ryan, Billy Crystal, and Carrie Fisher, who is fantastic. And her delivery of the runner, I know you're right.
Yeah. I actually loved that runner. That every time we see her, she's talking about, well, he's never going to leave her. And then
I know you're
each time Meg Ryan getting a little bit more exasperated by it, like, no, I don't think anyone thinks he's going to.
But I also love that they're all so blunt with her the whole time. And she's never like a little like, about it. Like she's just like, I know you're right. But I thought it was funny because like on the page, it hits in that like comedic page way, but she like locked it in performance wise. She like actually made it kind of interesting to
great.
Oh, she's so good.
So good.
So the cinematographer was Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah, girl, Sonnenfeld.
Yeah, which he's produced. He's directed a ton.
His directing slate is insane.
Yeah, so he did the cinematography for Raising Arizona, Big, and Misery. But he directed a lot, but he's mainly known for the Addams Family movie in 1991, Men in Black, Bish.
I know.
And a series of unfortunate events, which was my favorite book series growing up.
I love that movie. It was like
taking a hit of child cocaine.
And also seeing we have to do a Sonnenfeld movie because knowing that I didn't know that he was a cinematographer first.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And so that makes so much sense because in Addams Family, he does so many classic things with like the lighting and stuff and the way it's shot, like old Hollywood stuff, especially with Morticia. All of her lighting is like old school, like silent actress film lighting. Not silent films, but like classic Hollywood film. But yeah, no, genius.
So
and his creative DNA in each of those stories, he has such a fun, cheeky take on the medium. It's great.
Thing I kept thinking about Rob Reiner and him both were they both have such cool careers. Because like even Rob Reiner, because his credentials are so massive, I just went with what he's directed. But he's acted in a billion things. I mean, both of them just had the cool, like just so cool.
Yeah, all over the place in the best way.
In the best way. I feel like Chloe Zhao is going to be a version of that where she's a little, because she's doing like a thing of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I know. I'm very curious.
And I'm like, you went from Hamnet to that, obsessed.
Very curious to see what that turns out.
I just want to see what her take is going to be.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. I'm so impressed by her.
Script babies, hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Because Hamnet might be coming.
Ooh. The budget was $16 million and it grossed $92.8 million domestically. It did quite well.
Huge.
Quite well.
Huge.
Do you want me to do trivia before we do a scroll? Or do
trivs.
So I know you watched a lot. I read a lot. So interject with anything that I'm missing. So Rob Reiner met with Nora Ephron about a different concept that she rejected. He pitched another thing that she wasn't interested, but then he casually mentioned that he was intrigued by a story about how sex can ruin a friendship between a straight man and a woman. And that immediately resonated for Nora, and she felt like she knew how she would structure it. And she interviewed Rob and their producer, Andrew Scheinman, about their dating lives for the script, and she described it as a horrifying experience.
Yeah. So I guess they like went to dinner. She said they're at the Russian tea room, and he pitched her a thing before the dinner happened, and she was not into it. And then they were casually talking, and he was like, oh, well, I want to do a film about a man and a woman wondering if they can be friends, but wondering if sex would ruin a friendship, and then they have sex and it does ruin the friendship. And then she said by the time she was out the door going home, she already had the entire structure in her head. She knew all that.
Gorgeous.
And then when they were having a meeting one night in his office, and she was talking to him and another guy about what it's like to be a single man and that the life of a single man. And she was horrified by. She doesn't go into specifics, but I'm just guessing about like the objectification of women that straight guys do, like all these different things. And she was like, and he was like, well, now that I've told you, now that you have a glimpse into like the life of a single man, tell us something about women that we don't know, as if it was like a dare.
Yes.
Like, tell me something I don't know about women. And she said, well, women fake orgasms, which I guess that was like this movie is apparently what really like brought that into the cultural zeitgeist. And so he went into the bullpen where all the women were working, brought 6 women into this office. I guess she said he kind of was like being like a meathead. And
because he said no one's faked it
not
with me. And she was like, yeah, they have.
Yeah. And then he was in one of his interviews, he was like, yeah, you couldn't do that today. I'd probably be fired for doing that. But yeah, all the women said, yeah. And he was shook.
Super fast anecdote. When I was reading about this, I had this moment with a good guy friend of mine where I was like, now
about
let me say, I think I might be one of the few women that I know that has never faked one ever.
Period.
I abso-fucking-lutely not.
We are here for it.
If it's not happening, it's not happening. And that being said, I have no judgment for anyone who does, because I'm also like, get it, bitch. Perform your little heart out. If you need to get out of that situation and that's the way you want to do it, whatever. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. That being said,
often it's just for the man's gratification.
Yeah, which that part makes me nauseous as all get out.
Do a better job.
So that being said, I said to this good guy friend of mine, I was like, every woman, I'm the only girl I know that is not. And I'll never forget the look in his eyes. He was like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, like women are good at that. Like, and it was such a similar experience.
It's like you have to be.
And he like brought it up to me later. He like brought it up to me later, like I was scanning through all my experiences and I was like, it cracked me up.
You'll never know.
I was just, you'll never know.
You'll never know.
You'll never know. I just thought that was so interesting. I was like, wow, I had this same, like, oh no, that's a thing that happens.
Obsessed.
Pee pop pop pa. Oh, Nora basically said Harry Burns is essentially Rob Reiner, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. She said he was neurotic, but he was in love with his neuroses, and it was very charming and funny. So I thought, well, that's Harry. They said Sally was only partially based on some of Nora's own quirks, like how she orders food. After Rob witnessed her order food, he told Nora that had to be in the film. Now, here is a literal in the wild daddy do. Take the gorgeous quirks. We've talked about this before, I think season 1. Take the quirks of yourself and your loved ones, throw them into characters.
Yeah.
Make sure it's authentic, but goddamn does that not up-level a character.
Yeah, because it's already naturally.
It's so part of how you know Sally, and she's so adorable when she does it that it actually is like cute. Whereas someone else could do it in a way that would literally, you'd be like, ugh.
Yes.
But with her, it's a quirk. It is a literal neurosis.
It's adorable.
It's
I love
adorable.
it. And the first inkling that you get of it is her in the car, which says, I don't like to eat between meals.
Yes.
She's so particular. Apparently, another thing I saw while I was watching interviews is that apparently Nora Ephron was known for her absolutely fabulous dinner parties and that she was an incredible cook. And in an interview with her and Rob Reiner, he was saying, yes, you're particular about like, or you do these insane orders, but like how every single time she does it, it always ends up better than what was on the menu. And it's because she's hit the mic, but it's because she's a really great cook and that she knows good food. And she was kind of like, well, yeah.
Absolutely. Girl, now I wish I had been at one of those dinners.
I know. And then I watched a long interview thing, like it wasn't really an interview. It was like a revisiting When Harry Met Sally with Meg Ryan at UCSB. And she was saying how once you met Nora and if she liked you or whatever, she like became like your godmother. And she's like, you're automatically invited to these insane dinner parties that you never would have gotten into before. Like just how she was just incredible. And like, she was just very loving and like to guide you and give advice. And just like, I'm the like, dream, the goal,
to be that.
I want to know Nora Ephron, and I'm sad that I can't. But I'm
so we'll just read her scripts like little
happy
fangirls
to experience her legacy.
Absolutely,
and Rob's.
Love that. It was Rob's idea to include the documentary-style interviews with the couples throughout the film. He was inspired to do this after asking a friend's dad how he met his wife and watched the old man who was typically reserved light up. The interviews were used to reinforce the idea that everyone has a story and Harry and Sally were just another story. All of the elderly couples in the film are actors, but a lot of the stories were from people Nora interviewed at the production company and just had them do it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I have to say, like, I think one of the most compelling things about this movie is the choice to have that.
It's genius. That structuring is amazing.
So unique.
I love it.
It's so well done. It's not distracting.
As the passage of time.
It's
genius.
Stunning. It's
stunning.
Stunning. Rob Reiner worried Billy Crystal would come off too sweet for Sally's instant dislike of him, and he worried it wouldn't be believable, so he had Harry rudely eating grapes and spitting the seeds out the window. That was added.
When I read that in the script, I laughed out loud. When he spits and the window's not down, he goes, I'll roll down the window.
And like how grossed out you would be when you see it hit the window, you're like, ah!
It really got me.
Okay, so this is, I think, what you were kind of alluding to. The fake orgasm scene was inspired by Nora telling Rob, that women fake whatever, but that the scene of her having an orgasm was not in the script initially, but Meg Ryan really thought it should be in it. But then when it came to do it, she was feeling like a little shy. And I thought, if this is true, it's the cutest thing I've ever heard, and an argument for why men and women can be friends. She went into Billy Crystal's trailer and talked to him, and then put on one of his sweaters to feel more comfortable.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then she did it, but then Rob felt she was being too mild, and so he did it.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
He did it and like went full bore, and the rest was history. But the best part of the whole thing is that Rob Reiner's mother is the one who delivers the iconic "I'll have what she's having," which was Billy Crystal's improvisation idea to be like, that's what someone should say.
Iconic collaboration.
I mean, truly,
actual true kismet. Like,
you know what's so funny is when I think about like every project that I write, or like projects you and I write, when I was younger, before I even like did Margot, like that web series, like before I had done anything not on my own, but like outside of going to someone else's set, I always thought about like, just like I need to do this, I need that. Now I'm always like, universe, bring me the dream collaborators that bring, because that's all it ever really truly is.
It's magic.
Is when you have people who are meant to be working together. All bring their genius, because the writing's incredible, but the direction is incredible, and the performances are, and everyone trusting each other is why this movie is
truly
arguably the best, if not one of the best rom-coms of all time. I think it might be the best rom-com of all time. I might just say it, babies.
I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but so far this is the best rom-com script I've read.
Ever.
I'm
shooketh.
Blown away by this script.
Shooketh. This was Harry Connick Jr.'s big break.
I saw that. So random.
Rob Reiner got his demo and then offered it from a friend and offered it to him.
And he won a Grammy for like best male jazz performance.
Okay, this is crazy. For the scene when Harry and Sally and Jess and Marie are all on the phone.
This is insane.
They filmed it simultaneously on 3 adjoining sets on a soundstage, delivering the dialogue in real time with no cuts. So if anyone flubbed, they had to start over. They nailed it on the 50th take, but then the sound guy was like, "Ee-oo, the bird's up in the
there's a
up
pigeon
there.
in the rafter."
That ruined it. So then they ended up using the 61st take.
Isn't that insane? 61 takes of that scene. But I loved it on the page. But then before knowing this trivia, when I watched the movie, that scene, I was like, holy fucking shit, how did they do that? Because Rob Reiner was saying in his different interviews how a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, that scene's so funny, blah, blah, blah. But no one would understand the technical marvel of pulling that off, like what that is. But then like any person on the technical side of stuff would be like, how did you do that? And then it's wild. It's incredible.
It's genius and wild and insane. It's all of it.
It's perfect. And so funny. And it's funny on the page.
Yes.
Perfect in the movie.
It's the bop, bop, bop. It's the beat.
So good. I want to scream.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up the trivia because there's just so much to get into. The last thing I think that's like truly interesting is that the original ending had had sex actually ruining their friendship. And it had them running into each other years later on the street and just chatting about where their lives went. Nora Ephron said she felt that really was the true ending, that these people don't end up together in real life. Rob Reiner was originally fine with that ending until he met and fell in love with his wife, Michelle, while filming, and falling in love made him realize that it would make sense that Harry and Sally could be together, which I thought about it and I'm like, I don't know that this movie would have been this movie if
without the happy ending.
Because I do, and it's not to say it wouldn't have been an incredible film still, but I do think there is something to be said where people do crave seeing a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I think this movie pulls it off. I do Billy Crystal wrote the majority of his monologue to Sally when he lists all that he
that amazing line of when you finally realize you want to spend the rest of your life with someone you want the rest of your life to start like as soon as possible, like just pulling that out of his
and I do think though, like
gorgeous mind.
I think part of the reason that the ending did work though is also because you get it a little bit on the page, but this is getting a little ahead of myself, but I'll make it brief. You see it a little bit on the page, but you really see it specifically on Meg Ryan's face where she's always a little in love with him.
Yes.
And they allude in like the most micro ways in the script, like in parentheticals, like slightly rejected, but like they really don't lean too heavy. Whereas once again, the genius of her performance, she did it subtly too, but you can feel that she has an openness to this. She sees something in it that he's not fully letting himself see yet, that it made sense. You know what it kind of reminded me? I was like, I make the weirdest comparisons on this podcast. It reminded me of what we talked about with 500 Days of Summer, where my friend quoted that I said that like how a lot of men don't realize what they have until it's gone, whereas like a woman can see it right then and there.
Yeah.
I did feel a little bit like that ending when all of a sudden he's having all these flash memories and then suddenly he realizes he's in love with her. I'm like, they're on one hand, very movie. On the other hand, also kind of real life too for a lot of men.
Yeah, absolutely. As a writer, I'm like, I love the more realistic ending of them not being together. In one of the interviews I watched, Nora was saying that she, at one point, a friend of hers was talking to her and they were telling her like how the ending of the movie gave them hope for some situation they were in or something, and how she was like, that's great, but like just know that like that's not how the story would actually end.
Right.
That's not the real ending, but I'm happy that it brought you that. And I'm like, but I mean, to answer your question of do I think straight men and straight women can be friends? I think a straight woman can be a friend with a straight man, but a straight man can be a friend with a straight woman if he's not a fucking creep. Not this.
I'm gonna have to co-sign that.
Like, I think if you just can think beyond your fucking dick and appreciate someone as a person and not a vagina, then yes.
Which I understand why a lot of people think it's not possible because they haven't experienced it. I've been extremely fortunate in my life that I have some guy friends that I've had forever that I'm so grateful for. That it makes me sad to think that I could have missed out on those friendships because of like some bullshit rule. But that being said, I also have tried to be friends with plenty of men that literally don't understand that men and women can just be friends. And that's the fucking it. That's it, baby. Because I think, there's kind of a funny parallel to that with gay guys. Interesting.
Where it's like, I feel like, I mean, obviously I have gay friends I've never slept with and stuff. But when I was younger, it was like, I was very much the kind of person who was like, slept with a lot of my friends.
Honey, you know,
like,
same.
Yeah, it's just like, it's funny. I'm like, is there a world in which there's a gay When Harry Met Harry version?
Absolutely.
Of this story.
There is. No, but I guess my point is I was the queen of that, but I've also been able to maintain friendships after, which is I think even more rare. And that's not for everybody. But then I also do have like two guy friends that it's always been 100% platonic.
Yeah.
And lovely. Although one of them, when he went through a really bad breakup, I remember he said to me, he was like, I'm trying really hard not to visualize having sex with you right now. And he was like, but it was like earnest because he was like, because again, it was almost like he was just going through so much that I was like, you know what?
I'll accept.
I'll accept. If you need to let yourself just run that tape, You know it ain't gonna
that
never
tape.
happen, but run that tape, honey.
Tony, run the tape.
All right, script score, babe.
Let's get into it. 9.5 out of 10. I'm not quite sure why I didn't do a 10 out of 10. I'm kind of I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Can I tell you why I think maybe? Because same boat. I went from 9.7 to 9.8 to 9.6. I don't even really have, but I literally, my note was mainly because this version of the script we have is a little messy, and that's not really anyone's fault. You know what I'm saying? But like, this is a slightly botched script. We're like,
in what sense?
Well, like the line is cut off from I'll have what she's having is cut off.
Oh yeah, that's just them copying.
No, totally. But I just mean that like there were a couple moments where like omit this. The flow. If this would have been in perfect shape and there was none of that, I feel like I would have probably said 10. But there was something a little off-putting about the experience. The only off-putting thing about the experience for me really was just going like, oh, that's omitted, like whole empty page. And again, not the end of the world. That's why I'm saying I was like 9.8, 9.9. Like I couldn't really find a flaw with the script, but I did also feel like a 10 felt maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It's weird.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I think my heart said a 10, but I'm giving it a 9.5. I'm just going to stand by that.
I love it.
This is what I wrote after reading. I said, I truly had a big dopey grin on my face the entire time I was reading this script. I loved every second of it and fully understand now why it's one of the most beloved and enduring rom-coms in cinematic history. The timeless battle of the sexes narrative is fully supported by comedic banter for the gods. The dialogue is perfect, so crisp and punchy. I found myself chuckling and even full-on laughing multiple times throughout. The back and forth story structure of showing documentary style interviews intercut with Harry and Sally's scenes works so nicely and adds a genuine warmth to the romance of the narrative. The action in the script works seamlessly with the dialogue and story structure. It's pretty minimal for the most part and is written so casually yet perfectly worded, creating an engaging environment for the dialogue to be the star of the show while also bolstering the comedic beats when necessary. It's also so nicely executed. It's all so nicely executed that I'd love to be able to read it again for the first time. If your speciality is rom-com, or even if you're just a super fan of the film, run and read this script immediately.
100%.
Immediately.
Like I said, I essentially was like, I'm going to land on a 9.8. I couldn't figure out, my justification was what I said. I was like, there was just a little... But I don't know. It's such a good script. It's such a good script. I said you would be hard pressed to find a better rom-com script. This script is completely timeless. It's paced from the very first page. The stakes of the film could be argued as small in comparison to so much of what we see and are used to now, with the endless push for everything to be life or death, when really this movie is just about assessing the complexities of relationships, never fully nailing why relationships do or don't work. And it's enough to grasp you the entire time. The only big reveal we have on page 12, the often used number where many people argue you should have your inciting incident, is simply Harry telling Sally she's empirically attractive and Sally accuses him of hitting on her. That's it. But their chemistry and the realness, perfect. Okay, actually I want to talk about this for 2 seconds. Their chemistry and the real but also perfectly heightened dialogue is so engaging that you don't care about the stakes otherwise. It's lived in, it's real enough, and it knows when to inject movie moments in to check all the boxes. I was thoroughly entertained. That is one thing I was talking to Scott about. I was like, this movie literally nailed and mastered taking very real conversations and dialogue and just turning the knob 2%.
Yeah.
Because most people are not wit for wit like that. And there's a lot of shows and movies that attempt that, and your eyes are so far back into your brain because it feels like one punchline. You don't feel like anything's a punchline in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything that's funny feels accidental, and it's not. That's how you know it's so good. But like, I thought about it. I was like, there's really no other than I'll have what she's having. But even that is kind of a throwaway like moment. Do you know what I'm saying? That I was like, because it's like, it's real dialogue, but it's also kind of not. But it found the perfect, gorgeous balance to just be like absolutely enthralling.
Perfection.
Real life, but a little better.
Yeah. Perfection. Perfect.
And the pacing for a story that doesn't have life and death, all this stuff. It's just about two people. Will they, won't they?
For the gods.
For the gods. It starts off just beep bop. We're off to the races.
Yeah, it's sheer perfectiona.
This little mic stand is a little. I think it's her last day. I think
it has to be.
I think we're upgrading her.
It has to be because the sound's probably okay, but I want to punch a mic stand right now.
I'm normally the one who has that one, and it sinks down to my boots.
I know, and I feel bad. Okay, movie scores.
Movies 10. I could. It was one of those where I was like, I have to be real. Like, if I'm going off of every single, I felt like I'd be really forcing myself to come up with something that I was like, to me, watching it and enjoying it the way that I did, even though I've seen this movie before and admiring it even more from the standpoint now of like, I just was like, yeah, I could say like 9.7, 9.8. I was like, but honestly, like, I don't know. I just was like, it's a 10.
Yeah. It's a 9.5 for me.
Fair enough.
Only because there's a shade of me, just a tiny shade that enjoyed the read, just a shade more.
Really?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the movie.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But there were certain beats that I found funnier on the page in my imagination than I did in the movie. But then there were other moments that I thought were like, oh, haha, in the script that I was like fucking hilarious the way that they were executed by the actors. But yeah, it's a 9.5 across the board for me. Again, I'm not sure why. I
know. Sometimes giving scores is weird because it's like, because to be honest, even though I love it so much and I'm honestly like so overwhelmed and impressed by it, I still don't even know like why I said a 10 versus like a 9.8, other than I just was like, I thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah.
I completely get why.
It's so smart.
And like, it's great. So this is what I wrote after watching the movie. I said, I adore this movie from start to finish. It's so close to what's on the page, but they did some minor edits that increased the pacing and cut out what little fat there was. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal have such cute, effervescent chemistry on the screen that really endears you to their characters. I totally have a new appreciation for just how great Meg Ryan is. I always loved her, but never fully appreciated how special it is to be able to pull off what she does with this performance. Seeing the script brought to life also hit home even further just how great the writing and storytelling is. It has almost all the classic tropes, which are handled so expertly that it serves as a potent reminder to go back and watch these now classic films that set the tone for entire genres. Like, period. You need to study this film if you're going to write a rom-com.
I agree.
You just need to.
Because this movie like has a groundedness to it, and it's like its own energy to it that is really not
pretty singular,
often found ever in rom-coms.
Yeah.
Rom-coms. Like, I think the thing that I get frustrated with do you like rom-coms? My like bone to pick with so many rom-coms. Oh, why does it sound so foul? It sounds foul. I'm like a dog chewing on a bone. My bone to pick with rom-coms is that so often it's like so goddamn cheese or so unrealistic to me that I'm like, I have nothing to grasp here. I need my feet on the ground for a sec. Now, again, I know other people really like love that about rom-coms. But for me, this movie scratches the itch where I'm like, oh, this is my kind of rom-com where it's like, there's so much going, like, it's just so good.
It's insanely good.
We'll get into why it's so good. I'm not going to read my movie note until we get into that part because I list quite a bit of specific stuff that wouldn't make sense right now.
I think I have more movie notes than script notes this time.
I don't have
just like
a ton.
They're not even notes, just like observations and stuff.
Can we talk real quick? Page 8. This is in the action. A long silence. Maybe they both look at the menu. Maybe they just sit there. I cannot.
And there's so many moments like that in the action.
There's so many moments like that. But it struck me. I'm like, you don't see that.
No, you don't. I think so. I was noodling on that because I have a bunch of things where I'm like, I fucking love this. It's one of my daddy do's, getting ahead of myself as I always do. It's a tradition now.
Traditions. We are who we are.
It really brings the script alive for me to see that. Because it makes it feel like a living document in the sense that, and I was like wondering, why exactly is that? And I was like, I think the reason like the reason that's in there so much is because was such a collaborative project from inception. And like when they were making this, they knew that they knew they were going to film it. This happened in that beautiful era of Hollywood where you could go and collaborate on something knowing it's going to get filmed eventually. And so they were able to leave room for what comes out on the day. And you clearly, after doing the research, that is what they did. There's a lot of improv that they did in set that then she went and wrote into the script, which is interesting that they did that. But I love
that you said that it makes it feel like a living document, because that's how I felt. Now, again, I think if we're going to talk about like anyone listening to this, that's not immediate instructions to say, go be indecisive in your action.
Yeah.
Once again, Nora is operating on like the highest level, and there's a confidence and a trust you have where you're getting enough. For instance, a long silence, maybe they both look at the menu, maybe they just sit there. That's a very small differentiation, but either way, what comes before that and what comes after fills in enough of a gap that you're not sitting there going, well, which is it? Nora, which is it?
Instead of being confusing, it engaged my imagination more, and it made me feel like a participant in the read.
And because the flip side of that I've become so much more conscious of since we've done this, and I was actually talking to your brother about this the other day, and I know we've talked about this quite a bit in the podcast, but this made me think of it. Whereas the opposite of this is when you give me 1,000 details and you think you're creating a really like polished vision. Yeah. I'm actually going
too much.
I'm so clearly not in your brain, and I'm not gonna be, and this is too much. And then all of a sudden I'm zooming out.
I don't need the whipped cream and the sprinkles and the hot fudge.
You don't want the sprinkles?
Give me the sprinkles and the whipped cream, but I don't need the hot fudge and the fucking Skittles and the fucking gummy worms. Like, yeah.
Girl, now I just want a sundae.
I would love a hot fudge sundae, girl. Yummy.
Okay, I jumped to page 8. Go ahead. I know you probably
No, that's funny because that's literally my note on page 8 too, but I have a note for pages 1 through 4. I said the action on the first 2 pages is so casual, almost as if you're listening to a friend tell you a story in a way. And on page 4, when Harry spits the grape seeds. Oh, so that was my first note, is that the action itself feels casual, like someone's like pitching you the story.
Yes.
Essentially, like, so this is going to happen. Maybe they do this. Maybe they do that. There's those moments in it. But it was a great example of, because like to have it, that's someone who is a master of their craft because they make it seem easy like that, but they have such a handle on their story.
Agreed.
That again, if you're a more green writer, don't just go and be lazy. Because like a green writer could do that and it would come off as completely lazy and
or uninformed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe not lazy. Yeah, but more like you don't really have a handle on your story. But that's not the case at all here because it works in like a symbiosis with the action, with the dialogue and everything. It just works so nicely. But then on page 4, I said, when Harry spits the grape seeds out the window, it's so effortlessly funny. It's a simple setup, and the punchlines are accentuated by the action. Great reminder of the necessity to have a push and pull between dialogue and action when writing a comedy. Both need to be properly honed in order to have an effective comedic impact. And here's the examples I wrote. So this is when you first meet Harry. And there's a lot of mirroring that they do in here. There's a lot of tropes of mirroring, rules of 3.
Colin,
it's genius.
Colin, I literally have a fucking paragraph about the genius of mirroring in this film. So
it's perfection. It's perfection. So this is like after. So it opens with saying like, we're going to see some documentary stuff. You see the documentary copy. And then we cut to the University of Chicago. It says, a couple in a clinch. The young man involved is named Harry Burns. He's 26 years old, just graduated from law school, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. He's kissing a young woman named Amanda. She has long, straight hair that she irons. She's about 20. The embrace is fairly melodramatic. They pull back to look at one another. So casual, so just like, this is it. Yep. But then, and this is throughout the entire script, we get where she does get really specific at times is with the clothing and what people look like. And that is another one my daddy does. It's the use of like, just specifying the jean and sweatshirts paints the mental image in my mind even more clearly and puts me there. And then saying that she has straight hair that she irons. We never see Amanda again, ever again. But it tells you something about Amanda's character. And even just in this passing thing, like, I love it. It's so fucking good.
Which is why I will always, always, always encourage and fight for some type of character description.
Yeah.
It's really, and by the way, I used to be team, you don't need to put one, until I started coaching and consulting with people and going, oh,
Where am I? Who am I
and then I
talking
went
to?
back
What
to
is this?
every script I've ever written and gave descriptors, because it is so much easier to follow. And even with a small character like that, now you're picturing it a little bit more. And again, you don't know all the jewelry she's wearing and what shoes. She just gave just enough for your brain to have an imprint and move on.
Exactly.
Gorgeous.
So then it moves on, and this is when Sally pulls up in her car. So it says, a car pulls up right beside them, stops, sits there. Driving the car is Sally Albright. She's 21 years old. She's very pretty, although not necessarily in an obvious way. She sits there waiting for the kiss to end. It doesn't end. She clears her throat. They don't hear her. She shifts position and accidentally on purpose hits the car horn, which beeps and startles.
On purpose.
I love that, accidentally on purpose. Which beeps and startles Amanda and Harry into breaking off their clinch. Amanda sees Sally, and she and Harry move over to the car. Again, I've said this now 3 times, but it really feels like I'm sitting with you, just like we're talking through a story in the action. Like, I feel like so often I get obsessed with making pretty action, but now I've like stripped it back to be concise, but still pretty. But this, she's not using flowery language. It's very straight to the point, but has an undeniable energy and voice to it.
Yes.
I like that, like when accidentally on purpose, like that, just gorgeous. And then on page 3, this is
it's
the
like
last
thrown
example.
away. That's part of it. Is she's not trying to make a meal of it.
Yeah.
She's just making you more clear in what's happening there.
It's confidence. It's total confidence.
Absolutely.
And then it said, and then on page 3, it says exterior Chicago street day. As the car drives towards whichever highway is relevant, city traffic, Sally driving, Harry in the passenger seat. Whichever highway is relevant.
Obsessed.
Oh,
So good. So good. Yum, 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 yum.
Script. I love it. And then, with the, this is what I wrote on for page 8, the same note that Carly had. I said, I love how the script leaves room for the action. It leaves room in the action for the reader's imagination and ultimately the filmmaker's creative decisions to have elbow room. It feels very much like a living, breathing draft in that way. Like in the diner scene when Harry and Sally are en route to New York and Harry's ribbing her about how she hasn't had a lot of good sex. Yeah, he says, and she says, he asks her, like, how many guys have you had sex with? He says, I'm not going to tell you that. He says, fine, don't tell me. Then it says, a long silence. Maybe they both look at the menu. Maybe they just sit there, which is ultimately cut out of the movie.
I know.
But everything they cut, when they cut, there's a few different scenes where like half a page of the scene is cut out. But every time they do it, it's because there's a better punchline or a better way to leave off the scene.
With the exception of one.
Wait, what?
Let me find it really fast. Okay, this is in the script, and I was so sad that it wasn't in the movie.
Oh my God, tell.
Because I needed to hear Billy Crystal deliver it. Because, okay, on page 4, so this is obviously zooming in, but page 40, Harry's line, Sally says, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. When did this happen? When he says that him and Helen broke up.
Oh, right.
He says a couple weeks ago. Sally says, that's right. That's right when Joe and I broke up. Harry, isn't that amazing? Sally, not really. Everybody in New York breaks up this time of year. Harry, maybe it's the pressure of Halloween. I laughed out loud when I read that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know
you have
why.
To decide what costume you're going to be like.
But it like tickled my funny bone. Maybe it's the pressure of Halloween.
That was good.
And I'm like, he would have delivered the absolute hell out of it. Because Billy Crystal's genius is, I always think of the term you use, is so back-footed. He is so back-footed funny.
Yeah.
Where he's like that friend you have where you're like, how can someone be, he's kind of you in that sense. Like you are endlessly funny.
I accept.
But his performance is so back-footed in a way that makes you get why he's endearing and not completely and utterly obnoxious, because he's not punching the lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just like, this is just the way he thinks.
Yeah.
He just is, maybe it's the pressure of Halloween. That's funny.
It is funny.
I was really sad it wasn't in the movie.
Also, little tangent, the use of holidays.
Yes.
Obsessed.
Girl,
Obsessed.
So good.
And like we see some springtime. We don't really ever see summer, but like we spend a lot of time in fall and winter. And I'm just like, oh, wrap me up in a New York autumn. Like literally,
Yes.
I want to live. I want to breathe. I want to eat it. Yummy, yum, yum. There is nothing
I
like
wanna
those
roll
shots
in it.
in Central Park with
Oh,
those gorgeous
so
leaves
beautiful.
and her fucking costuming. Oh, we'll get into it.
Everyone low-key still taking inspiration inspo from them.
taking
Inspiration inspo from them? What just my
but you
brain
could,
just did.
You could,
Fashion
but the proverbial you, could never touch Meg Ryan in those outfits. I'm sorry, fucking adore. It's that. It was giving a little bit of Diane Keaton, little Diane Keaton vibe.
Also, Meg Ryan's hair.
Obsessed.
We could do a
loved
whole
it.
podcast on that alone.
Obsessed.
That absolutely ridiculous Farrah Fawcett curl at the
when they're in
beginning
college, the 70s one. I died.
I was like,
and that
I'm
blue eyeshadow.
But she's so goddamn cute that I'm like, you're like a little doll girl.
So fucking cute.
Sierra and I call women who like have like perfectly symmetrical and like precious energy beaming from them doll girls. There's doll boys too, but doll girls are more common. And again, you can be absolutely fucking the most stunning woman on the planet and not be a doll girl. It's like a very specific energy. And Meg Ryan has doll girl in
Angelina
this.
Jolie be doll girl?
No.
Exactly. So yeah.
She's too like... It's really hard. I don't feel fair talking about this without Sierra, but because I remember when Sierra and I were trying to tell other people about this, like the questions were endless and I felt like no one could nail it down. It is hard to nail down, but no, Angelina Jolie is not a doll girl.
I know what you mean.
But Meg Ryan is a doll girl.
Period.
I think if there's like overt sexual energy.
Amanda Seyfried, doll girl.
I would say yes. I would say that she is. But I don't even know if the sexual energy is, but it's more like there's like a preciousness that radiates a little bit.
Doll girl.
And I also think that like you could have a doll girl phase and not like maybe your energy totally changes and it's different.
You could have a doll girl phase.
Anyway.
My next is on 23. What's yours?
Like I'm not a doll girl. Anyway. Sierra and I were like, listen, we think we're beautiful, but we're not doll girls. And sometimes we wish we were doll girls. Anyway, what's next?
Mine's on 23. Do you have one before?
I put page 20 to 22. By the way, juxtaposition is one of my other things I want to explore more on the pod and in writing and all of it. Juxtaposition is one of the best tools you could possibly have in your toolkit as a writer.
Yeah.
In a way that is so abundantly clear to me all the time. Colin just pointed to me his juxtaposition note. I will tell you that I think 5 of my notes has the word juxtaposition, but the first time I clocked it in this was the juxtaposition of Jess and Harry continuously doing the wave while engaging in such a depressing and gut-wrenching story from Harry was delicious. It's perfect.
That's literally my note from 34 to 36.
It's tonally why the movie is so genius is that you have this brilliant. Like they're catching up, they're blah, 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 but they're also like...
Yes. I love it. Having that contrast of having a serious thing to how your wife left you and how she lied to you. Now she's actually cheating on you. And then like you're having to do and you're committing to doing the wave too.
Committing to. That's the best part.
It's so
And they're doing
fun.
It's backfooted. They're not making a big deal about it. They're just doing it.
And it is a trope, but it's one of those things where tropes work so well when they're executed perfectly. Yes. And it's my reason, argument for exactly. There's a reason for it, but you have to be a good enough writer to pull that shit off that it's not jarring.
And the goal should always be to be reinventing it now. Sure. Do you know what I mean? But and then on page 20, Jess, you're saying Mr. Zero knew you were getting a divorce before you did. Harry, Mr. Zero knew. It just like, again, like if I pluck it like this, it's like not as funny, but it hits on the page so good and in the film. It
really does.
Mr. Zero knew. Like,
by the way, that scene's on page 34 to 36.
Oh.
I think you're looking at scene numbers.
Oh.
That's okay, though.
Oopies.
I just want to let the babies know in case they're going to follow along. I have a note on page 23. I said, I love the use of comedic mirroring. In the airport, Sally is telling Joe about her friend Amanda, but can't remember her name straight away. Then on the plane, when Harry can't remember Amanda's name,
one of my notes.
Sally gives him shit for it, and it works as a punchline of its own because we just saw her in the same situation. They also mirror the couples kissing.
Colin, we wrote the same.
Of course we did. We first meet Harry. We first meet Harry kissing Amanda. Then 5 years later at the airport, we are reintroduced to Sally as she's kissing Joe in the same fevered way. We've seen mirroring done through various genres, and it's a film trope that almost always adds a nice touch to the storytelling when done well.
Colin, I just have to read this to you because you guys, this is how much our brains have mind melded.
We already had it before Script Daddy, but Script Daddies made us like we're like not the substance, but I was thinking like the reverse of the substance where like we're melding together instead of pulling apart.
You guys, this is my fucking note. This movie is a masterclass on mirroring and juxtaposition. Mirroring, for example, we start the movie with Harry making out with someone lost in their own world. Then 5 years later, we start on Sally doing the same thing with a man, something she would have never dreamt of doing when we first met her. It's a fun little synchronicity, and the brain kind of enjoys that, like, hey, we've seen this before, but now first it was with Harry, now blah, blah. And I said, these little things, I was like, another mirroring moment, Sally not being able to remember her friend Amanda's name to then have Harry not remember it minutes later, and then she gives him grief for it. Then again, the mirroring when they meet up and they're both navigating breakups. That was another mirroring moment.
Yeah.
And then this is very subtle, but I just was like on one with the mirroring. They're both wearing cable knit sweaters, just different colors when they're fixing Harry's rug post first date back in the dating world.
And did you notice that she wears that sweater a couple different times in different outfits?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
She wears that red cable knit sweater when they're in the park, and she has a jacket over. She has like a suede blazer over it. Then she wears it again. I was like, I love that.
I love as much in a film when they allow a person to be a real person that has a shirt they wear more than once.
It's just, it makes you believe it more. It's so good.
But so Colin and I would both like to reference mirroring. This movie does it so well because it also, for this particular, it's just smart in general, but for this particular story, part of why I think it really works is it also kind of subconsciously, not necessarily full frontal, but kind of subconsciously, I was like, oh wait, now I'm making everyone think I'm naked. It kind of subconsciously also continuously makes you feel like there's this like invisible string that is always witnessing them on parallels, whether they're aware or not.
Yeah.
That I felt like that was part of why it was such a smart use of it. Yeah, that I felt like it was, not only was it like smart comedically and like for the sake of the story, but or like funny and all that stuff. I was like, it's actually also kind of plays into that.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Okay, Carly just talked about juxtaposition, but I'm just going to read my thing on juxtaposition because it's from the exact same scene.
Also, take a shot every time we say juxtaposition. And then pass out, I guess.
I love the juxtaposition of Harry telling his friend Jess about how his wife left him for another man while they're at a stadium and having to participate in the wave while talking about how harshly he's been treated. Juxtaposition is another storytelling trope that, when done well, always increases the impact of a scene, no matter the genre. Agreed. In this case, it adds a great backdrop of comedy to the moment as they are trying to have a serious conversation while participating in something so silly. Contrast is one of the sharpest tools writers have at their disposal. And then on page 36 in that same scene, I said I love the punchline from Harry when he's talking to Jess at this punchline at this while he's talking to Jess at the stadium. Jess, his friend. If you haven't seen the film, Jess is a man. Jess says, marriages don't break up on account of infidelity. It's just a symptom of something else wrong. And Harry goes, oh, really? Well, the symptom is fucking my wife.
And again, he delivers it so backfooted, though.
He does.
It's so good.
It's so good. It made me laugh on the page, and it made me laugh when Billy Crystal said it. I'm like,
funny.
It's such a good line. But then in the script, Jess goes on to say, well, at least you got the apartment. And he's like, oh, like, okay, that's some fucking consolation prize. They take that out of the movie, but it's better. That cut works better because the punchline of like, well, the symptom is fucking my wife. Like,
well, and then they have Sally saying, at least I got the apartment later, and he gets to say, everyone keeps saying that. So it's almost as if he said it. I thought that worked
nicely too, not seeing it before and having it brought up then.
I agree.
I love when you can build in little histories like that through the dialogue. My next is on 47.
Okay, I think it's 38, but now I'm paranoid that it's no.
I did the same thing a couple of times because the page numbers and the scene numbers
are a little bit
really close to each other.
Really close. Let me double check right here.
Double checking right here. Double checking right.
This is page 38. I thought this was so funny. I said the wit is honestly effortless on the page. Is it Marie or Mary? It's Marie. Sorry, my brain went wrong. Okay, Marie. Someone's staring at you in personal growth. Sally glances over to the personal development section. There's Harry. Sally. I know him. You'd like him. He's married. Like,
I love
an absolute reader for filth, but in a way that they're both like, yeah. Like, there's no reaction on either front because it's like, yeah, well, you're not entirely wrong because we were just talking about how I found a receipt where, like, love.
Also, that made me, a little side tangent, watching that in the movie made me so nostalgic for bookstores. Another side tangent. So they shot at, that was an actual bookstore in New York called Shakespeare & Co. And so they filmed there, and then I guess Nora Ephron was back over there at some point, and she saw that it had shut down. It closed its doors after a Barnes & Noble moved in nearby, and that gave her the idea for You've Got Mail. We have to do You've Got Mail.
Yes.
And Sleepless in Seattle.
All of it.
Have to. I die.
Need.
I die. Yo.
Oh, yeah, I went back to, my next note is about the pressure of Halloween, but I just said the script is expert level funny without ever juicing a punchline.
Truly.
It feels effortlessly funny, like a friend we all have that just knows what to say in any given moment. That's hilarious. They can't help but be funny. Like, that's just Billy Crystal the whole fucking time.
It's perfection. Do you have one before 40 Sharon?
Yeah, page 41, Sally's monologue is so fucking good. It's when Billy or Harry asks her about why her and Joe broke up. Am I right about that? Now I'm like paranoid about my pages.
Sorry, which page?
41. She dives into like why they broke up, and I just thought it was like,
oh yeah,
it's in the movie. I think it's a tiny bit shorter in the movie, but I just thought it was such a brilliantly contained way of diving in to so many people's psyche about the idea of having children or not having children.
Yeah.
And how often what keeps people from having them is all the freedom they believe they'd lose, even though they aren't using that freedom now. I thought
and her performance in the movie of this monologue is like, that when she did this monologue and she's talking about how she's in the car taking her friend's kid to the circus, and she saw the little girl on her dad's shoulders, and she started to cry. Like,
family.
There's an earnestness, and like, you really, like, she's feeling it and reliving it as she's telling this. And like, I was like, oh my God, Meg Ryan, I never realized how fucking incredible you are.
Truly. But I felt like part of it was the words and then her performance in what it landed for me is there isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer to having kids, depending on who you are. But I loved her monologue because it shows you how contradicting decisions can be and the importance of honoring and following your own compass. That like for the whole monologue, she's talking about how like, you know, other people, when they have kids, they stop having sex, and like we could fly off to Rome tomorrow and have sex on the kitchen floor and all this stuff. Yeah. And then so she had all these totally fair and legitimate reasons as to why she did not want that. Yeah. But then all it took was one moment with a child that she's close with observing a family. And then all of a sudden, all the reasons went away and she knew she wanted this. And then the genius of having Harry say, did you guys ever, you know, on a whim, like fly to and then kitchen floor, no. Yeah. That I just felt like, again, you could easily just like look past it as like, oh, it's just a good monologue. But it's like, I think it taps into how a lot of people and women feel, specifically around kids. Like, not everybody is born knowing they want kids. I wasn't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like, and even when you and I and other people have talked to my friends who don't have kids, when they're like in that cycle of should we or shouldn't we, I'm always like, I don't necessarily think you're ever going to have a slam dunk answer. Yeah. But I do think that whole freedom thing is a really interesting, it's both very true. And also I'm the most creative I've literally been in my entire life since I had my son. And I have the least amount of free time. And yet I'm churning out, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's again, this is not really about whether you should have kids or not. I just thought it was like the rest of the script. They found a way to be very specific, but keep it contained by diving into what a very real thing a person feels, but doing it in a way that works for the film without overindulging, without making a meal. I was so impressed by it.
Yeah, it's really good also because I'm just now realizing now talking about this, the layers of it throughout the script. So in this moment, she's having this really raw moment of talking about like why it didn't work out with him. And like she's up until now, she's been like she's like when she's at dinner with her girlfriends and she's like, I'm fine, I'm good. A couple of days, like, you know, we're just not meant to be together. We're fine. And then she has this moment where she's saying that she started crying because she's essentially realizing like, I can't have kids with him, but I have this freedom.
Yeah.
And then all of that is really brought home later in the script when she has an absolute fucking meltdown when she finds out that he's marrying another woman, and how it's like I thought he didn't want to get married, period, but it's just he didn't want to marry me. And how like she does want all this, and she's kind of told herself she doesn't, and she's more of this like optimistic, like kind of like keep going person, very structured. Like she says, I'm too structured, I shut people out, blah, blah, blah. But like it's a great they breadcrumb that arc out really nicely.
I completely agree, because you're like, oh, like you believe her that she's accepted and moved on. But there is also something so genius about the vulnerability of going, but I don't feel wanted. And because also the genius of having Harry say, okay, but like, would you take him back if you could? And she's like, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, me making weird parallels, it made me think of the moment in The Family Stone when she says, doesn't anybody want me? Like, it's like that feeling of just going like, it isn't really about him. It's just that she was able to move forward with one belief, and then that belief is completely shattered. And how fucking real that is.
I was about to say, what a real experience that is. I feel like most people have had that experience of like, oh, I'm over it or whatever, and then your ex does something or gets with someone a little bit faster than you did or whatever. It's become a trope in movies because I mean it's a parallel in real life, but like I've experienced that too, where it's like, you know, back in my 20s, I break up with someone, they get with someone else, I'm like, all of a sudden I'm butthurt, even though I wouldn't want to get back with them.
Yeah.
And then what I had with them was really messy. Like,
but then also
so funny that like human nature of it.
The juxtaposition. Throw another shot back, babies. Of her performance in that scene. She is crying. It's so good because she is like, it's kind of comedic because she's being so doll girly cute where like it's so precious and it's slightly over the top. There's it's not like she's not, I don't know, she's crying her face off, but there's still something light about it. Like it's being done in a very physical comedy way and like a.
Yeah, Rob Reiner had he said in an interview at one point that he was like, everyone has seen the comedy anger. Everyone's seen comedy anger. Comedy anger is not the easiest thing to pull off, but it's easier than to pull off a comedy cry. And that this, like what she put off in that scene, the comedy cry that she does is like master level acting.
I agree.
And it very much is.
I agree.
Because you do feel bad for her. It does feel real that she's crying, but then also she's adorable and funny and adds a levity to it.
Yes.
But also this vulnerability.
No,
and
it's so impressive. It's so impressive. I don't think people realize how hard it is to do what she did.
Because
it could
really
come off
wild.
so caricature, and it did. Yeah. It felt so authentic to Sally.
And then Billy Crystal as her scene partner is perfectly there to support it and like.
And you totally see how they end up. That is the moment they end up having sex.
I learned.
Also, love for a person, but again, this furthers my point of sex scenes. I love that they don't show it.
Yes.
It doesn't actually matter.
I actually wouldn't want to see the sex scene. It's because it's not about the sex.
It both is and isn't, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That I actually was like, oh, I'm so glad that they didn't. It was more important that we heard their perception of what happened and how they're reacting to it than us seeing it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also love, just to go back to page 41 and that big monologue that she has about like, the crying after seeing the guy on his shoulders. I can't remember if this is in the film, but the very last sentence, which we already talked about, I just love the way it's worded. So she says, I'll just start a little bit further. She said, I was taking Alice's little girl for the afternoon. I'd promised to take her to the circus, and we were in a cab playing I Spy. I spy a lamppost, I spy a mailbox. And she looked out the window, and there was this man and this woman with two little kids. The man had one of the kids on his shoulders, and Alice's little girl said, I spy a family. And I started to cry. And this is the last sentence of that monologue. It says, I just started crying and I went home and I said, the thing is, Joe, we never do fly off to Rome on a moment's notice.
So good.
To land the plane of that monologue with that is so real. And like.
To land the plane on that. We don't fly to Rome. So good.
Just love that. Also, this script and this story would be my argument for, because we've talked before about stripping back on monologues, but this is one that like you have to have the monologues for comedy, for exposition, all the things, but also
extremely well written.
Yes, and it's like so beautiful to watch these actors get to play in the wording of it. It's so
but I think what still stands true about it is that we've never been anti-monologue. It's more so we've just said typically monologues are not going to be the moment where someone breaks down in tears, and it's still not really.
People expect it, like, to be the big tearjerker moment, or like this is going to really hit home.
I think that's more the issue. And again, like, it's not to say that it never can. Like, for instance, although it's a little more lighthearted and romantic, like Harry's line about as soon as you realize you want to spend there, that's a very quick monologue. Yeah. And it's really more like that last line no one really quotes the whole thing. It's the last line that kind of stands out. Yeah. But even still, this movie has so many monologues, and that's the only one that people like really, that last part's the only one people really quote. But even that's, I think this movie, like exactly what you said, it perfectly demonstrates that monologues have such a use. It's just don't use a monologue with the sole intention of I'm going to get everyone to cry on this, or I'm going to get everyone to be mad from this. Like it should really be more truthful to the characters in finding that gorgeous craft middle of whatever exposition you need to be sharing, while also having it be authentic.
Do you think possibly monologues might work a little bit better, more naturally in a comedy than a drama? I think everything's so, it's based on the context of the story. So I don't know if we can say any
I think you have to be
black and white rules on that, but like so far, this is the first script where I'm like, I wouldn't change any of these monologues. And there's been scripts before where I'm like, too much monologue.
Well, because I also think with dramas, if you get too in the weeds with a lot of long-windedness, it can be a slog. Whereas in a comedy, it's not typically. But also this movie is such an interesting version of comedy because it is 1000% a comedy.
Yeah.
But your little foot kicked the rug up. Oopsies.
The rug.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think as a basic note, better to never be a person who's writing like 5 or 6 monologues in a film if you can avoid it.
Unless you're Nora Ephron.
And I
know you're not.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but it's but like to your point, this is one of those scripts where at no point was like, oh man, they should really cut that at all.
Yeah, that really hit me. That I was like, God, there are like monologues that are in almost entire pages.
And it makes you wonder though, is it also because it's counterbalanced with such beep bop dialogue otherwise?
Maybe, probably, yeah.
Because I feel like that's part of it, is that you're moving at such a clip so much of the film, even with time.
Yeah.
That then you don't mind slowing down for a sec. And the performances are so grounded.
Yeah. I almost kind of want to reread the script and do an audit of that, of like.
Oh yeah, I like that.
What is it about this other than the gorgeously written and paced nature of the monologues about that,
that is very interesting.
Bam.
I put page 43, dear God in heaven, the absolute read of this line. Put it on a goddamn billboard, frame it in every house a boy is raised in. I say this as a boy mom. Sally, I just didn't want to sleep with you, so you had to write it off as a character flaw instead of dealing with the possibility that it might have something to do with you.
Girl, that read.
Hello from the other side. I mean, good God in heaven.
A read, Miss Ephron.
And then I love that she just has Harry go like, what does he say? What's the statute of limitations on apologies?
Which is really sweet.
It's a gorgeous response to that.
I love that because like in that we've set him up to be this asshole.
Yeah.
And like, because he's like a lovable asshole, which was such an interesting thing while reading this, is like, because like there's so many moments where I'm like, God, he's a fucking asshole. But then I also like love Harry too, because he also contradicts himself so much. And like, you kind of see that it's just kind of this mask that he puts up, but you have that moment where, and also now they're 31, they're not in their 20s anymore. He went through a really harsh divorce. He's had himself humbled a bit.
Yeah.
And he's feeling a real connection here. And like, it's also like the contradiction of him, like up until this point being like the whole like men and women can't be friends because they're going to fuck. And like, that's blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I thought I loved that when I was reading it. I was like, oh my God, like he's changing.
I know.
And he's respecting her as a person.
Maybe it's just like the Billy Crystal of it all, but I also just feel like, because he's kind of disarming as it is, but it's like, even like in the very beginning, you still kind of get why he's intriguing. Like, he's never so one way.
Yeah.
that you're like, I don't get it. You're like, no, like I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Even with that hairpiece in the beginning.
Whoo! That hair piece.
Colin knows more recently that I have some neuroses around hair in certain ways. And that hairpiece was, I don't like when hair, look at the YouTube, show the YouTube. Well, that
is it PC?
It's also crazy. It's like peacocking in the back. I don't love, now again, whatever. It's just a personal pref. I don't love like the really PC situation at the front of a male head.
This came from Shane Hollander's hairstyle in most of
don't
Heated
come
Rivalry.
For me because I know he is absolutely stunning and we love him. This is not his fault. He doesn't do his
hair like that in real life. It's just
there's a couple scenes when they're like younger, more so in particular.
It's usually when he's
where
younger,
that's what it always is. It's like a forward. It's like a forward pull. It always feels a little greasy. It's upsetting.
There's no vibe with it. It's fine. It's like how I've gotten the ick with mullets for the most part. I'm kind of like, I'm over it. Enough. There's like a stylish Jacob Elordi style mullet that I'm like, okay, that's still sexy.
Okay.
But the ones that are like, I said this in a previous episode, I know, I'm not getting into it. The ones that are like true to the 80s ones, I'm like, they stayed in the 80s for a reason, baby.
Ew.
Do you have one and then one before 47?
I don't really. I just, I don't.
Because on page 47, I have a fun formatting alert.
Give it to me.
I said, I love how they introduced the cut between Harry and Sally on the phone, both in their own apartments. So you kind of need to see this for yourself, Script Babies, possibly to understand what I'm saying, but I don't know, probably not. I shouldn't qualify it. So top of 47, it says interior Sally's bedroom night. Sally in bed on the phone watching Casablanca on TV and talking to interior Harry's bedroom night. Harry in bed on the phone watching Casablanca. Cut back and forth or use split screen. Again, that thing of like,
yeah.
Like I will say now, like at reading that now, I will say, don't
do that.
Don't do this because this is clearly a draft that they know they're going to shoot this. They know they're filming this.
Agreed.
And this is truly a document that they're filming from.
Yes.
In this context, it does really, really work to serve to make the story feel unique and alive.
Agreed.
But if you're just writing a spec script, probably don't. Maybe you could have a couple moments of like maybe they stay in silence, maybe look at a menu thing, play around with it.
That's fun, but not
the
other
this,
thing. Yeah.
Don't be calling shots and stuff like that because that's just a general no-no for writers.
But also that one also feels like a pretty big one that like if you're not if that's not your shooting draft, like, yeah, no thank you.
Yeah.
My last note on the script was just a bit shook by the realization that this movie further proves how some men need 11 years to see what's right in front of them.
Also real. Forking real. Yeah, truly. I have 3 more notes. One is page 59 to 60. I said, I really enjoy the New Year's Eve scene. It's tender and feels like a treat to see them finally starting to admit to themselves that there could be more, despite their preconceived notions that they aren't romantically compatible. I particularly love this moment at the end of the scene. And this is pretty different in the movie. But Sally says, do you think the fact that we're friends is keeping us from finding someone? That line didn't make it to the movie, I don't think. Or I might be tripping. But I didn't remember seeing it because I really wanted to see that line because then they bring it back later in the script. And I don't think they did that in the movie. I think
don't think they did that in the movie either.
The ending of the first New Year's Eve scene is pretty different in the movie. But works really well.
You are right.
Because they like give each other a peck and then we fade to black and do a documentary thing.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I'm pretty certain you're right.
But in the script, she says, do you think the fact that we're friends is keeping us from finding someone? Harry, yes. So I think we should stop being friends, go home right now and make love. Sally, considering this seriously for a moment, then rejecting it. You don't mean that. You know you don't. And then the action. And now we hear 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Everyone kisses. Harry and Sally kiss. It's very awkward. Should it be platonic? Should it be more? They break. It's slightly uncomfortable. Sally, warmly. Happy New Year. Harry, also warm. Happy New Year. I love that little moment.
I know. And it's very good in the movie,
but like
too.
I don't think she has that. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have that line. They walk out there, everyone's saying Happy New Year and stuff.
He says, you want to get some air? And
and they kind of stand there and they look at each other and they're like, are we going to kiss? And they just give each other a little peck like, oh yeah, because we're friends. But, which I mean, does really work. I mean, there's nothing I would say to change for the movie, but I loved that. It was really sweet. Pages 71 to 72. I said, I'm obsessed with, I'm obsessed with the Harry, Sally, Jess, and Marie dinner date scene. I love how Marie and Jess agree to wait to contact each other.
Juxtaposition.
Yep. I love how they agree to wait to contact each other until after they leave. But then they leave together at the first chance they get. Classic comedy moment. That's truly evergreen. I laughed out loud while reading it. It's so funny.
It's good on the page and it's good in the moment in the movie.
Harry's like, yeah, so just wait a week to contact yourself. And he's like, I want to get out of here. I'm going to get a taxi. She's like, I'm going to go with you. He's like, great. And then in the movie, they run to the taxi.
It's so good.
It's just so good. So classic, so tropey, but in the best goddamn way. My last note for the script is page 98 to 102. And we already talked about this in the very beginning. I said the phone call scene between Harry, Jess, Sally, and Marie the morning after Harry and Sally have sex is a masterclass in comedy. Great formatting, funny dialogue, situational tension, all wrapped up with a nice bow at the end when Marie and Jess agree that dating is a nightmare. I love the way that scene ends, where she's like, promise me we'll never be out there again. He's like, I promise.
It's so good.
So good. But like Script Babies, you should read that, because if you've seen the movie, you know that scene's just so good. We already talked about the technical marvel that they pulled it off. But like the formatting on the page, you have that bada energy, and it doesn't break it up for your eye in an annoying way or anything like that. They use dual dialogue. They have like a bunch of ellipses and stuff.
It's very clear.
M dashes and stuff to indicate like cutting each other off. They do a lot of that. There's a lot of quippy tennis playing.
It works.
Dialogue. Yeah. And it perfectly translates to their performances, because Sally, I could see maybe someone that wasn't Meg Ryan in my head, but like reading it, I could only see and hear Billy Crystal because it's
his cadence
so crafted, but then realizing that a lot of his improv was put back into the script, it made sense.
Like the pecan pie thing.
Which is different in the script.
Well, so apparently what I read was that he improvised that long pecan pie, that thing he improvised. And if you look, she looks out for a sec, apparently at Rob Reiner, and Rob Reiner was like, no, like keep going. So then Script Babies, go rewatch that scene, because it is in the script that they are doing. He says, we're going to talk in a funny voice the rest of the day, and they're doing it. But the pecan pie is not. That long thing he says with the pecan pie is not in it. She looks off camera. You see her nod. And then she immediately goes into it. And I guess they reshot it a couple times the same way, but they went with that one because her little reaction was so authentic. But it's cute because you do literally see her look off camera and then come back. But again, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. But I went back and rewatched it after I read that, and it's adorable.
I'm going to rewatch it.
But it also shows how much of a professional she is, because she literally in 1 second looks off and she's right in it.
First lead.
And honestly, though, too, this is such an argument as well for chemistry, and I will die on that hill forever. I would so much rather watch two actors with chemistry than two of the best looking people that literally have nothing.
For sure.
These two have gorgeous chemistry.
They do.
And they're still apparently besties. And so there's an argument for friendship.
And that's the other thing, is like they really do feel like friends in the friendship scenes. Like I would be perfectly happy if they ended as friends, not going their separate ways. Like we can't really be together now that we've fucked up by having sex. I would be just as satisfied if we ended with like, you know what, men and women can be friends even if they have sex.
It's fine. I wrote a movie about
that might. Wait, period.
Sorry, I just.
Oh my God, no, I didn't even connect that.
I didn't either until you just said it. Anyway,
I'm kicking my little feet like a little baby girly.
Anyways, one of the things I wrote into my moving into the movie notes was the script and film are tonally the same, like in a way that's like shocking. We love you, Stan. This mic stand, but she's on a white. Oh,
yeah, she's going 6 feet under, baby.
But do you know what I'm saying? In a way that is kind of rare. Specifically because this movie is kind of tonally in its own lane, but you feel that on the page and then it's perfectly shown in the
definitely,
film.
I think, it's definitely unique. And I would like to read and do more movies from this time period.
I would too.
Where writers and filmmakers would work for a couple years developing a story, developing the script, getting it to the perfect place, knowing they're going to film it.
Yeah, fully.
Because it was Castle Rock Rob Reiner's production company?
I don't know.
Or he was the head of it or something, whatever. Yeah. It's so interesting to see. I wonder if that's part of you could have more confidence on the page and in your storytelling, knowing that this is going to get made,
Absolutely.
And so tonally, it completely transfers from script to screen.
It says Rob Reiner does not own Castle Rock Entertainment outright. He co-founded it in 1987, but it was sold to Turner Broadcasting in 1993. Oh, okay. And the company's now part of Warner Bros.
So then at the time, he was a co-founder of it. Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is cool.
Because then because I saw in one of the interviews, he was saying that it was a unique experience because they didn't have the constraints of a studio giving notes. So they could take some swings with this storytelling because he was like, we were going to make it. We could make what we want because.
Hear that, execs?
Yeah. Hear that? If you're fucking listening, stop fucking up movies and storytelling, bitch.
Trust your artists.
There's more to movies than them just making money. Make a good movie and it'll make a movie.
To life. To satisfy me. Harry's take on airports is too fucking real. When he's like, no, you never take someone to the airport because, by the way, truth, literally,
it's so funny.
Fully agree with that. I hate the airport. I took Scott once when we first started dating and I was like, the whole time I was like, I shouldn't be doing this because I don't want to set a standard that because I'm a person that I don't love the airport. I've flown so many times that I've come a long way, but the whole drop off and pick up of an airport is one of my least favorite things in the world.
It's awful to have to do it, but Sev's the first person I met that I'm like, if I can, I will because I want to see him off. And if he can, he'll always be able to take me.
You guys are
the
exception, and I'm obsessed with that for you because I literally, I think I've taken Scott to the airport twice in our 15 years together. I cannot.
Especially if it's LAX, it's a hellscape.
And it always is LAX. Oh,
it's a hellscape.
If it's Burbank, I drop Scott all the time. But LAX, up at the absolutely not. It's only gotten worse.
It's a hellscape. That's why whenever I come back, I always set aside $120 when I'm traveling to get an Uber Black because they can drive right into LAX and pick you up and take you home. I always set it aside. I'm like, I'm not taking that goddamn LA exit bus to the fucking cattle call that is the Uber pickup. It is a fever dream nightmare.
It's dark.
It's dork-sided.
It is dork-sided.
I did something a little different this time with my movie notes. I wrote down my 3 main takeaways from the script screen. So this is in the script, but it's watching the movie that really made me take note of it was the rule of 3. How often they use rule of 3 in dialogue.
Yes.
It works so nicely, and it really does punch the comedy nicely. Like when there's a point on the plane that they do it and it's really funny. I'm blanking right now. Anyway, my next one was that they softened Harry's character a lot in the movie. Well, not a lot. They softened him more than he is on the page because he apologizes in the movie where in the script he'll make jokes, but in the movie he apologizes. So the one I'm thinking of is when they're outside of Jess and Marie's apartment after the whole wagon wheel thing in the script. So they get in this whole thing, and this was taken out of the movie, but I love when in the script when she's like, you're about to cross a line. And he's like, oh, this coming from Mrs. Hospital Corners, which actually fucking made me laugh my ass off. It was so funny because then just knowing, of course, she does her bed sheets that way. Yes. Of course, she'd be so structured.
Yes.
Oh my God. But so they get in this fight, and it's their first time we see them really butting heads with each other.
Yeah.
And he's a dick to her. He's rude to her, but she's not having it. And so then they calm down, and he's like, okay, are you calm now? Can I say something? And in the script, he says, "Do snapping turtles really snap?" And it kind of disarms her. I didn't like that
I
moment
didn't either.
in the script. I
didn't
wanted
either.
him to say an apology to show that
agree.
he's a fucking human
Yeah.
and not just a stupid asshole man. But then in the movie, they completely fixed that. And he says, "Can I say something?" And it was the most delicious surprise to see him, because I've only seen this movie once before I watched it.
Yeah.
And I will never make that mistake again. This is on the rotation now.
Yeah.
I have to watch this so many more times. But I love that. He says, "I'm sorry." Then there's
and
another
they have a
moment.
gorgeous hug.
It's so sweet. And because like that, like in the context of them being like friends, I'm just like,
well, yeah,
I love it.
Because it allows you to trust her more too, that she would stay friends with someone who can fuck up and then apologize right away, you know?
Peeweed, yes. Then there's another moment where it's not in the script, but he apologizes again. I can't fully remember, but they softened his edges a little bit, which I really loved.
Same.
For that reason that you just said, like it makes you trust her more. Like she's not just like pining after this asshole.
100%.
You never see her pining after him, really.
No.
But,
it's more
so
like
pining's
these
the wrong
little
word.
moments where he acknowledges that they're just friends, or like, yeah, we'll be friends or whatever. Or after they have sex when they go to dinner and she's like, it's a mistake. And he was like, "Oh, I'm so thank God you said that."
So
and you see her a little.
They both want the other one to say, "I want more."
But I think she's more cognizant.
Because she's more disappointed when he's like, "Oh, thank God, I'm glad you said it."
I think she can see it more. I think that Billy Crystal's performance is so interesting because I think he plays it really like he obviously has such an affection for her because he's so close to her.
Yeah.
And shows up for her and does all that stuff. And obviously is attracted to her because he sleeps with her and says it was a pleasurable experience. But then it was like, again, but they've both decided on this friendship thing that it was like he was almost more married to that. But yeah, it's like, I do think it is an interesting thought of if she looked him in the face in that moment and said, "No, actually I want it to be more," I don't know that he would have been ready.
It would have freaked him out.
It would have freaked him out. So that's what's
run out just like he did the morning after. And then my last one was, my last takeaway was they cut some scenes way shorter to emphasize punchlines, leaving you with the most pertinent information and increasing brevity in the pacing. Even though there's very little fat, but they do cut some of the short. But those are my three main takeaways from after I realized the things I was annotating from the movie. I was like, those are my three big.
I have really quick ones because I also tried to these are my quick bullet points of it. We'll try it again. Masterful exposition about who these people are and what their beliefs are. Really, and that is another reason to read this script, is like it really is masterful the way that you are constantly learning more about how these people see the world and how they experience it in a way that is so organic and fun and interesting that you don't even really realize exactly what's happening. I just was like, also 3 words, baby fish mouth. I laughed out loud. Baby fish mouth,
which apparently was improv.
Apparently it was improv, but it's in the script, so they must have went back and added that, whatever. But
she says, Nora Ephron says in an interview that I watched, where she said it was actually a great lesson for her as a screenwriter because I guess she was relatively new to screenwriting, to being a screenwriter when they did this. But she was saying it was a great lesson for her to see the collaboration of that and see the improv going on. I don't know if this. They implied that it was on set, but I'm wondering if there was rehearsals or something. Anyway, that she was seeing these gorgeous moments coming out through the improv that she was like, it was a great reminder as a screenwriter that like to not be too precious of your material. And like, I would be a fool to not go back and add that in. So I'm thinking, I don't know why exactly. Yeah. Because I think these days they wouldn't go back and change the script, whatever, just different time of filmmaking.
But I just remember one of the trivia was that Rob Reiner had her actually just draw what she wanted to draw.
Yeah,
and
he
was
told
like,
her baby talk and no one else knew, so they were actually playing the game.
And he said that he felt like when he saw what she did, he was like, it's perfectly unclear. And the baby fish mouth came from that. But something about the baby fish mouth was making me...
Baby fish mouth.
And then when he's like, ape, he's like, move on from the apes.
Which I guess was like a beloved audience thing. People loved that scene.
This is tiny. Harry and Jess speedwalking in their slutty little spandex is
Carly
everything.
Wait.
Billy Crystal's little Legaloos Are you kidding? Like, moment of silence for those legs in that spandex.
Truly, I'm gonna scream because where is it? Where is it?
And they can only be described as slutty little spandex. And they're, I just died. I was like, it's so quick. But but he's walking so funny too.
Harry and Jess power walking through the park in their little tights is killing me. Ha ha ha. His little butt. Billy Crystal's tiny little took.
And his little hips, the way he's committed to it, it's too much. It's more than I can handle.
I died. Love,
Oh, no, go.
I died because this is a moment that I like chuckled on the page, but like laughed in the movie. It's very small and fleeting. It's in the very beginning. It's on page 11 in the script, so it's early in the movie. But when Meg Ryan is telling, Sally's telling Harry why her and Sheldon didn't work out, and she's saying the days of the week underwear.
Yes.
And it's like, and they didn't make Sunday. And he was asking me, why don't you have Sunday? And he was all suspicious. And then Harry goes, well, why don't they make Sally? And she says, because of God.
Oh, Sunday. Why don't they make Sunday?
Oh, Sunday, yeah. Why don't they make Sunday? And she said, because of God. But in the movie, I didn't appreciate the punchline that it is until I saw Meg Ryan's earnest response to that. She's like, because of God.
Because of God.
She's like, like very serious about like, obviously, like, gotta respect God. Like it killed me. I literally
so good.
Pressed the 10 seconds back and watched it again. I was like, I love that line.
I did that a couple scenes with her because I was like, I just want to see her tiny little face do all the things.
So good.
My final note about the movie was I said this story written or directed in different hands would have likely had Sally be a wet blanket or way needier and tropey around what we've come to expect of women in film. But I love that she is fully herself and she's strong, she's quirky, but she's embodied. She's not a pushover. She always, like, there's aspects. I just felt like we were in such good hands with how she was written and then portrayed, because there's another version of this film that's really unlikable where he's a dick and she keeps putting up with it, even in friendship, and just lets him kind of do his thing. Totally. But she is both so soft and in her feminine, like she's very much in her feminine and owns who she is, and also is never afraid to push it back with him. Like, they are tennis players. They're always in a match. He just has a more dominant thing, but that does not take her off the hook with, like, she's right there with him.
She is.
That I really loved that. I was like, I don't think people run around being like, Sally's such an empowering, but I actually was like kind of shook by like the timing and all that, like going like, no, this was a really thoughtful take on this dynamic where I just feel like we've seen so many versions where the girl just keeps putting up with bullshit.
Yeah.
Keeps putting up. Whereas with this, it felt more balanced, and I just like that I did always feel like, for the most part, outside of her just saying like, maybe we should try this, but you understood why she wasn't, because she wasn't even sure fully.
Yeah.
That I just always felt like I could trust her.
Totally.
In everything. Like, she's got it. She's
totally
going to
agree.
take care of herself and da-da-da-da. You know, I don't know. I just really like that.
It's true. Yeah, especially for that time period. Maybe because it was written by a woman, she is a very well-rounded, multi-layered character who does have her own agency.
100%.
Does want more, but also like her being like, again, like we see the different shades of this, but her eating with her friends in the beginning where she's like, fine with like, yeah, he broke up. We were going apart for a while, not like pining over it and stuff. We see that it was affecting her more, that she was holding that down, but like also even that of her keeping her shit together and being like, okay, well, going to continue on, even though I am dying inside a little bit. I did want to have a family with this man, but like, yeah, it's.
Do they ever really get into their jobs?
She in the beginning says she's a journalist who works for the news. She says on the plane,
right? But he
is a political consultant.
Oh, that's right. They
whatever that means.
Yeah, but they just don't really. Yeah, I kind of
political consultant. Also, his apartment in the movie when they're putting out that rug, gorgeous.
I know. I was like, because in the script you kind of picture like a little bit of a whatever, a normal, desolate apartment,
it's like a
gigantic
$20 million apartment these days.
God. But that's it. That's it for me, baby.
I just have little things like I already talked about her costuming. I die for the costuming. Harry's apartment's incredible. The deli orgasm scene really is that iconic.
Yes.
It really is.
It really is.
It just snaps and claps.
Snaps. And the juxtaposition, once again, take a shot, that it's in a deli too.
Yes. I love, so this wasn't in the script, but this was in the movie. At the New Year's Eve party, we talked about how they changed the ending of that when they go out for air and they have the little peck. This isn't in the script. They are dancing in the script, but in the movie, they add this moment where they're dancing cheek to cheek and Harry closes his eyes and he's like taking this in. It's just the perfect lead up to that moment of them. Like they clearly want more. And she's kind of like, it's almost like her eyes are open, but it's almost as if she can feel his intimacy in that. And it's gorge.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Gorgeous girls obsessed. Oh my God, there's in the documentary scene, this wasn't in the, so those scenes in the beginning of the script, they tell us that they're going to be real documentary and style things, like be real interviews. They aren't. They are what you see scripted is what's in the movie, but there are some differences with a couple of them. And one of them is this older couple, and the ending line, it fucking killed me. She's talking about like she saw this guy and he was like, whatever. He came up to her and she goes, and that moment I knew the way you know a good melon.
Oh, I laughed out loud during that. The way you know a good melon. I'm like, you know what? Period,
the way you
girl.
know a good melon.
Girl, you better tell it like you know it.
Loved it. Another line of dialogue that is in the script and on screen and fucking killed me. It's when Harry, Sally, Jess, and Marie are at dinner because Harry's trying to set up Jess with Sally. Sally's trying to set up Marie with Harry.
Yes.
They're at dinner and then Marie quotes one of Jess's things about how like restaurants are to the 80s what theater was to the 60s.
Yes.
And then he goes, and he's like, oh my God, I wrote that. And then she's like, oh, isn't that amazing? I've never quoted a magazine before. And here he is. And he goes, I also wrote pesto as the quiche of the 80s.
It's so
funny because he's like so proud, and like
so proud.
In this moment, he's like peacocking, like I also wrote pesto as the quiche of the 80s.
Again,
and it's like
the gorgeousness of like him peacocking, and then you're seeing because what we know about Marie is that she is so like thirsty to be in love and whatever.
Yeah.
That she's going, isn't this amazing? Like they're both like,
Carrie Fisher, just
the
for
queen.
the gods, baby. One of the asides, like Meg Ryan was saying in one of the interviews I saw her, she was saying, because her and Carrie Fisher were friends for years after this, and she was saying how Carrie Fisher really, how there's I guess a famous quote from a different actor who said that when you're an actor in a comedy, you're a balloon in a world of pins. And like you want to keep the effervescence there, but there's so many things that can just suck that out of you, then you have to go on set, whatever. And so she was saying that Carrie Fisher really was incredible to work with because she was always keeping things light and fun. And one example she had was that when they're putting the mic pack on, it's always like awkward. You know, they're fucking going up your shirt and stuff, finding a place to put the mic pack. And it's usually out in the middle. It was like on a fucking street corner and stuff. But she said that Carrie Fisher would do this thing where she's like, ooh, oh, a little to the left. Like go there and like, just like a little example. I was like, I love that.
Queen
absolute
stuff.
Queen. The phone call scene after Harry. Oh yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, I wrote that too.
The power walking, and then I did last movie note. I did not expect to get emotional at the ultimate New Year's Eve scene.
Aww.
When that line when he says, "When you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible." I was like a little like, oh. And when he's like, "I love the way your nose crinkles and stuff," like all these little things, like he's
He's been in love with her the whole 11 years without realizing it.
And Billy Crystal's performance just so sweet and just like.
So he throws it away, and that's what makes it more charming. Is again, there's a different performer who would have been like the crinkle above your nose, but it's like he's so himself, he's so his character in it that it's like he's telling the truth because he's being so like neurotic and gorgeous about it.
And since this is our podcast and I can break the rules, I have to amend my movie score. It is a 10.
Thank you.
It feels right. It is a 10. It is.
It is.
It
is.
What was I fucking thinking?
I don't know. It's a 10.
It is.
We forgive you.
Okay, good.
You're forgiven.
Thank you.
I only have two daddy do. I don't.
Me too.
I don't have a daddy.
I have no don'ts. I have two daddy do's.
That's the thing about us babies is we're not gonna fucking make shit up for no reason. It's so stupid. It's so
absolutely
stupid.
not. I would change nothing about this script of this movie.
Other than reading a draft that just didn't have all the omit and shit. But again, that's not the fault of what's out. My daddy do. How many do you have?
2.
Okay, I'll do one. You do one. I do one. You do one. My first daddy do is write about what intrigues you about life and relationships. Rob Reiner's initial interest in how sex can ruin a friendship led to this gorgeous story via Nora Ephron. What interests you matters above all else when choosing what to write.
Girl.
It's just the truth. That's why I get really nervous when I see these like videos online about people going, this is what you need to be. No. Yeah. Because trends are, by the time you hear about a trend, they're gone.
My pack of index cards. The real script babies will know that reference.
Yes. If you've been around here a while, you'll know Colin's bone to pick with index cards. But like, I always just get a little ee-oo when I see people going like, this is what you should be writing, because it's like, A, I just don't believe in that. And B, I've been on a real fucking tangent lately. If you follow me on TikTok about the important role of trusting yourself when it comes to writing your best work. And you cannot trust yourself and write about something that doesn't interest you.
Ooh, no, that's absolutely true.
So I just thought when I learned the trivia after reading the script and watching the movie and going like, oh, that's why this is so magnetic, is because everyone involved was so interested by this idea, and and what they brought to it is so fucking interesting. You can't look away.
Channeled into reality from that.
So that's my first one. What's yours, darling?
Daddy do number 1. Daddy do leave room for imagination.
Oh!
The script utilizes very casual action in a way that endears you to the script, but also engages your imagination more. Like on page 8, when the action reads, a long silence, maybe they both look at the menu, maybe they just sit there. Or on page 29, where it reads, it's 5 years later, Sally walking down the street to a restaurant like Petaluma. And again on page 41, when Harry and Sally are at a restaurant, Sally and Harry having coffee or maybe a glass of wine. Leaving some action and locations open for interpretation creates a sort of freedom on the page that I haven't quite experienced yet, making the script itself feel alive. Now, take that into the context of what we already said. Yep. This is a different thing, but I will say there are definitely ways you can inject a sense of that into your script.
Agreed.
Play around with it. Get good.
Get good. My last daddy do is experiment with unique story disruptions as a form of further connection. Documentary interviews literally disrupt while also stitching together time and furthering the romantic feeling and arc.
Yes,
juxtaposition, but gorgeous.
Truly, the theme of this is juxtaposition for sure. It is. It just is. And who would have thought? Daddy do number 2. Daddy do give us some clothing descriptions.
Yes.
This script.
Don't sleep on this.
This script loves to tell the reader what the characters are wearing in great detail, and it really works. Like on page 76 at Jess and Marie's apartment, they're described as both wearing sneakers, jeans, baggy shirts. This attention to detail paints an even more vivid mental picture, transporting us into the scene more fully, thus capturing your attention more fully and providing a more delicious reading experience all around. While I wouldn't get into the weeds with clothing descriptions, I think this is a great reminder that they can play an important part in world building when writing action.
Completely agree. And I will say this now as like a script consultant, yes, to like what, like, I agree with you as a fellow screenwriter, but I really, really, really agree with you as a script consultant. Like that is probably the most common note that I give people when I read their scripts is like, you got, and for the initial, which is like, I want to be able to envision who I'm seeing, but even more so extra brownie points for what you're saying, which is like, don't sleep on the world building of that.
Yeah.
It
really does. It rounds out your world because you're seeing them as people in clothing, not just facial features or whatever.
What's so interesting to me though is that I see a lot of people that will more innately go into like the physical descriptions of a room more than they will indulge in what someone's like wearing. Yeah. And again, that's not like right or wrong per se, because obviously I'd like to know some details about the room that we're in. But if I had to pick,
well, yeah, sure. It's great to like know what the room is, but I don't need to know that there's like peeling wallpaper and like a moldy sofa and something, but then what does the character look like inside that room? Sure, you paint a picture of where they are, but who's in there? Who are we following?
So I just think like, even if you dial it up 1%, like just going through your script and asking yourself, are there moments here where adding a little physical description in juxtaposition to whatever we saw them in? If it's an arc thing, if you describe that their physical appearance is different than it was when we saw them, you know, that's a gorgeous way to do it. It's also good for time.
Yeah. There's been a bunch of different scripts that we've talked about this in with character descriptions and how it informs time jumps, like with hair.
Yes.
Like hairstyles are a great way to indicate passage of time.
Absolutely.
Also, like socioeconomic circumstances, you can indicate without having to say it. You can say like what someone's wearing.
How expressed someone is. Like, you know what I mean? Like if someone who, like, it's endless. And again, this is not an argument to run with it and go crazy and make a poem about every single person's.
Well, it's like,
but it's just find a balance.
Just like really quick, a character without any description. One is wearing a Metallica, old Metallica's shirt from like the 80s. Another one is wearing a crisp ironed polo. Two completely different people, and you can build out an entire world around both of those people.
And honestly, I'm a big, I use prompts a lot with people, and I think people sleep on prompts. I think even if it's just information that you know as the writer and you don't even end up using, it can be so helpful that it's like, even if you have a document where you literally write a physical description for every single character and then decide later how much you want to use of it, but like really let yourself go longer with
write a paragraph about the person and condense it to one sentence and see what happens.
Why not?
Ooh, I kind of want to try that myself.
I know. Let's go do it. Bye. I'm just kidding. This was perfect.
I gotta say,
rejuvenated.
The act of preparing for this episode was probably one of the most fun preps that I've had. I love this script. I love this movie.
It was so fun. And then how you read it before I did. And so getting inundated with rat emojis really made me excited.
Rat emojis and alarms.
And pages. Yes, these are the things we text, babies.
Truly.
Gorgeous, gorgeous girls.
Gorgeous, gorgeous girls.
Rob Reiner, thank you.
Thank
Nora
you.
Ephron, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, both of you.
Both of you.
This is to you, for you. We are ever grateful for what you brought to the cinematic landscape.
Yeah, you changed everything.
And
it's incredible.
Just keep shining down. Give us a little, give us some little brain seeds. Drop them into our little
Yeah,
nubs.
drop them in. Drop them in. Please, we would be so honored.
This is our digital altar to you.
Yes. Amen. And so it is.
And so it is.
I love you.
I love you.
Bye.